Today, no matter which bank you go to in the world, they will ask you for collateral to give you a loan. Reliable, valuable, and liquid assets like a house, car, stocks, or gold. The modern banking system is built on this collateral logic. When you walk into a bank and say, "Give me a loan," the first question is always the same. What will you give in return? This question hasn't changed for decades. The answers have generally stayed the same too. But in Italy, some banks accept the most interesting answer imaginable: cheese. This is not a joke, nor is it a legend. Credito Emiliano, known as Credem for short, is an established bank operating in northern Italy's Emilia-Romagna region. And this bank has been accepting Parmesan cheese as collateral for the loans it gives to farmers for decades. The bank has specially air-conditioned, advanced storage facilities with controlled humidity and temperature. Hundreds of thousands of wheels of Parmigiano Reggiano are maturing in these storage facilities. As the cheese matures, its value increases. As the farmer pays off the debt, the cheeses are returned. If payment cannot be made, the bank sells the cheese on the market and collects its receivables this way. This system is still actively operating today, and its roots go back exactly 800 years. But to understand the depth of the story, we first need to understand Parmesan cheese itself, because this cheese is no ordinary cheese. Parmigiano Reggiano is one of the most strictly and most elaborately regulated food products in the world. It can only be produced in the Parma, Reggio Emilia, Modena, Bologna, and Mantova regions of Italy. Only milk obtained from cows in these regions can be used. Even the cow's feed is regularly inspected. Not everything is allowed. Silage is prohibited, only fresh grass and hay. The production process has barely changed in 800 years, and a wheel of Parmigiano Reggiano must wait at least 12 months to mature. Quality ones wait 24, 36, and even 48 months. During this period, each wheel is regularly inspected, turned by hand, and carefully maintained. This waiting process is what makes it the world's most valuable cheese. Almost 2 years for a cheese. Because when a farmer wants to produce cheese, they first need to buy milk, employ workers, and rent equipment. All these costs are paid up front, but the income comes at the earliest 12 months later, sometimes 24, sometimes 36, sometimes 48 months later. In other words, a cheese producer spends money for years, but cannot earn income for years. Their capital sits waiting in storage, wheel by wheel. This enormous financial gap gave birth to an extremely clever solution in medieval Italy, and that solution, without realizing it, planted the seeds of the modern banking system. If you think Parmesan cheese is unnecessarily expensive, share your opinion in the comments.
In medieval Italy, cheese producers turned to the church to solve this financial problem. In the 13th century, the monasteries of Italy's Emilia-Romagna region were centers of both religious and economic power. Benedictine and Cistercian monks were not only responsible for worship, they were farming, trading, and were among the most important economic actors in the region. These monks were also the first people to develop the modern form of Parmigiano Reggiano. They raised large herds of livestock on their vast monastery lands and produced large quantities of milk. They found a way to transform this milk into a product that could be stored for a long time, transported, and sold at a high price, a hard, long-lasting, high-value cheese. At that time, a wheel of Parmigiano Reggiano was one of the most valuable traded goods in the region. But monasteries were not content with just producing cheese. They were also functioning as the region's unofficial bank. Small farmers would come to the monasteries during harvest season or when they were short of cash, hand over their cheeses as collateral, and receive what they needed in return, such as cash and provisions. The monasteries would mature these cheeses in their storage rooms and sell them at open markets when the time came. This arrangement worked perfectly for both parties. Farmers instantly gained liquidity, could pay off their debts, or prepare for the new season. The monasteries, meanwhile, acquired an asset that increased in value over time, while also consolidating their economic influence over the local population. This was precisely the first example of secured lending, providing liquid resources in exchange for an asset. The fundamental logic of today's banking system had emerged from here. Over the centuries, this system did not remain limited to monasteries. Cheese merchants, local tradespeople, and wealthy landowners also began using cheese as a financial instrument with the same logic. In the 14th and 15th centuries, in the trading cities of northern Italy, Parma, Bologna, Reggio Emilia, giving credit in exchange for cheese became such a common practice that some cities even created local rules to regulate these transactions. And this practice eventually caught the attention of Italy's great merchant banks. Florence's giant financial houses examined this model. Many major bankers, including the Medici family, began evaluating cheese as a serious financial instrument. Northern Italy's cheese warehouses were simultaneously becoming bank vaults. Modern banking was germinating in a cheese storage room. Like the video and subscribe to the channel. The most surprising part of this story is yet to come.
The Medici family was the undisputed most powerful banking dynasty in Europe in the 15th century. This Florence-based family had built a universal financial network stretching from England to the Ottoman Empire. Many fundamental tools of modern banking, such as money transfer, foreign exchange transactions, trade credit, and letters of credit, were inventions of the Medici dynasty, or products developed by them. Given the magnitude of this family's wealth and power, the fact that they turned their attention to the small cheese warehouses of northern Italy was remarkable in itself. This was the greatest proof of how serious and how functional the system was. But there was a far more concrete and logical reason why the Medici family showed interest in this system. The cheese-backed lending system worked very well. Truly, it worked in a stable and predictable manner, because the value of cheeses could be calculated. The longer a wheel of Parmigiano Reggiano matured, the more value it gained. This increase in value could be modeled mathematically. Bankers could calculate risk. And most importantly, cheese did not spoil. It was stable like gold, but not as rare as gold. Its production could be controlled. For a banker, this was a nearly perfect collateral characteristic. In the 15th and 16th centuries, the great merchant banks of northern Italy began to formalize the cheese collateral system. Standard loan contracts were developed, interest rates were set, experts emerged who independently determined the quality and market value of cheese. Storage conditions were standardized, an insurance system was developed. This process was laying not only the foundations of cheese banking, but also the first foundations of the modern credit rating system, independent valuation institutions, and secured lending law. A cheese warehouse had become the starting point of modern finance. And the most striking legacy of this system came to light in the 20th century. Credito Emiliano, known as Credem, founded in 1953, transformed this 800-year-old tradition into an institutional banking product. The bank today officially offers this system under the name Cheese Loan. Farmers take out loans using their cheeses as collateral. The cheeses mature in the bank's specially air-conditioned storage facilities and are returned when the debt is paid. Today, approximately 440,000 wheels of Parmigiano Reggiano are maturing in the bank's storage facilities. The total market value of these cheeses is approximately 200 million euros. The system is still extremely popular among Italian farmers today. Medieval monastery storage rooms had transformed into modern bank vaults, but the fundamental logic had not changed a single step in 800 years. Liquid resources in exchange for a valuable asset. Cheese banking was both the ancestor and the mirror of modern finance. By subscribing to my channel, you can help more people discover this unexpected corner of history.
Parmigiano Reggiano banking did not only bring the concept of secured lending to the modern financial system. These small cheese warehouses, without realizing it, lit the fuse of a much greater financial revolution. And the traces of this revolution are still visible today in banking systems all around the world. Think about it. What happened when a farmer in medieval Italy used his cheese as collateral and took out a loan? The bank wasn't just giving money. It was also taking on the responsibility of determining the value of those cheeses, storing them, insuring them, and selling them when necessary. These responsibilities, over time, required institutional specialization. Independent experts who evaluated cheese quality emerged. Storage techniques were standardized. Insurance contracts developed. Interest calculation methods were examined and refined. And all of this institutional structure, over time, went far beyond cheese. The same logic was applied first to other agricultural products, then to real estate, then to merchant ships, and ultimately to abstract financial instruments. The foundation of the modern credit rating system was laid precisely here. The work that giant rating organizations like Moody's, Standard & Poor's, and Fitch do today, determining the value of an asset independently and impartially, was exactly the work Italian cheese experts were doing 800 years ago. The names changed, the assets changed, the scale grew unimaginably, but the fundamental logic stayed the same. But the most surprising and most profound dimension of the story is hidden somewhere else. The cheese banking system also planted the first rough seeds of modern securitization. Think about it this way. A bank holds hundreds of thousands of wheels of Parmesan. The total value of these cheeses is fixed and calculable. The bank could theoretically divide this value into pieces and sell them to different investors. Each investor would own a portion of a certain number of cheese wheels. As the cheeses mature and are sold, investors receive the return that falls to their share. This idea was at first only a theoretical possibility, but over time this logic was refined, abstracted, and expanded. This is precisely the fundamental operating logic of mortgage bonds, asset-backed securities, and hedge funds today. That fundamental idea underlying trillions of dollars worth of global capital markets, dividing an asset into pieces and selling it to multiple investors, first came to light in the cheese warehouses of northern Italy. So where does this legacy live concretely today? In Italy's Emilia-Romagna region, the world's most intensive and most organized cheese banking activity is still carried out today. The 440,000 wheels in Credit Emiliano storage facilities are not just a number. That means an average value of 500 euros per wheel. That means an active asset portfolio of 200 million euros in total. And this portfolio continues to grow each day, because every day new cheeses enter storage, older ones mature and gain value, and as debts are paid, new loans are opened. The system operates in a perfect cycle for 800 years. The bank also regularly inspects these cheeses. Specially trained experts check each wheel one by one. The collateral value of cheeses whose quality has declined is recalculated. Additional credit can be opened against cheeses whose quality has increased. This system is so sophisticated that some finance academics describe it as the oldest and purest example of modern dynamic collateral management. And the fact that the rest of the world still does not fully know this entire story today is perhaps the greatest irony. Every banker on Wall Street, every finance director in London, every investment fund manager in Tokyo, all of them work every day with the concepts of secured lending, independent valuation, and securitization. But how many people know that the seeds of these concepts were planted 800 years ago in a monastery cellar in northern Italy, among wheels of cheese waiting to mature? If you have a piece of Parmesan in your kitchen right now, you should be seeing it a little differently. That yellow, hard, expensive cheese is not just a flavor. It is the most tangible and most delicious symbol of 800 years of financial history. Like the video and subscribe to the channel. Everything on your table has a story like this.